Hi, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us as we're going live this afternoon to give you some updates about some news in the last few days impacting CWS and especially the clients and communities that we serve. So to kick us off, introduce myself. I'm Catherine Rayberg, and I serve as our Chief Operating Officer at Church World Service. We're really grateful for your participation today. We look forward to a conversation with you over the next half an hour or so. It's Giving Tuesday. Perhaps you've seen our emails or other emails about this. It's a day when we and many other mission-oriented organizations ask for financial and other kinds of support for our work. We're really grateful to so many of you who have and will continue to give to Church World Service. And as we're going to share today, we really need your support, not just financially, but also through your voice, your prayer, and your solidarity with the communities living in fear across our country today and uncertainty as we as Americans struggle to be faithful to our values as a country and to our values as people of faith. You can be a voice for justice as is our theme for today and for this season. And so we want to share some information about what's been going on so that you're up to speed and you can speak and pray and give and act with confidence, knowing what's going on as things are unfolding quickly and quickly around us. We'll also remind you today over the course of our conversation of a few different ways that you can continue to stay updated even after this conversation, such as we have a daily email that's sent each day during the business work week called our State of Play. It's a daily email newsletter with up-to-date immigration policy news. You can see that link in the on the screen, and we'll put it in the chat as well. We also regularly update action alerts, which are places on our website where you can hear how you can take action on behalf of people in need. Again, the link is there on our screen. And there are other opportunities for learning and action that we'll talk about today and that we have available on an ongoing basis. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Errol, to introduce himself and give us an update on what's been going on. Thanks.
Many thanks, Catherine, for that introduction. And I join Catherine in thanking each and every one of you for being with us today and staying with us throughout this difficult moment in time in our history. Thank you for everything that you do and continue to do. My name is Errol Kekic. I serve as a Chief Strategy Officer at Church World Service, and I have been with the organization for a very long period of time and have seen things develop in different directions, but I can tell you that we have never seen anything like this in my 25 plus years with the organization. So I'll try to offer a very general overview of a few events that have taken place over the last 7 or 8 days to make sure that information is available to you, and would be happy to later on answer questions if you have any. In the days following the November 26th shooting of 2 members of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., an event the Church World Service has condemned in a statement that we put out the day after, as a despicable act of violence that should have never taken place. The administration has immediately pursued a sweeping immigration crackdown affecting a collective punishment with massive implications to Afghans, refugees, asylum seekers, and immigrants from both those who are already here in the United States, but also those who were in the process of coming to the United States. It's important to mention, however, that crackdown had actually begun before the November 26th attack. A number of executive orders that have been enacted the last 10 months or so. But interestingly, on the 24th of November, Reuters reported that USCIS, part of the U.S. government agency that deals with immigration benefits here, issued a memo to its staff describing the review and ordered a re-interview of over 233,000 refugees who have arrived into the United States with legal status during the Biden era. On November 26th, after this horrible shooting, immediately the administration has paused issuance of all visas and immigration-related requests for Afghan nationals, including special and immigrant visa holders, which are people who have been associated with U.S. government during the military presence that the United States has in Afghanistan over the last 20 plus years. This is already in effect, and it really kind of collects refugees, special immigrant visa holders, any other travelers that were in the process of arriving to the United States, and as well as those who had applied for adjustment of status after arriving and held on their processing of their credit card, or of their green cards rather. Then additionally, the administration has announced the review of all green card holders from the 19 countries that were on the travel ban list. This is the travel ban was put in place in June. And countries of the travel ban include Afghanistan, Burundi, Chad, Cuba, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Laos, Libya, Myanmar, Burma, Sierra Leone, Somalia, Sudan, Togo, Turkmenistan, Venezuela, and Yemen. And USCIS had further moved with the additional new guidance around additional scrutiny on all what they call discretionary benefits requests, meaning that the USCIS officer who are conducting interviews with individuals in front of them have certain level of discretionary decision making, and this memo instructs them to withhold those discretionary benefits in any situation. Then on November 27, there were a number of statements that were, I think, indicating the intent the administration has to permanently pause migration from what they called, quote, third world countries, and also reviewing any approved cases that were given asylum during the President Biden administration. So after that, on November 28th, a new document came out, new policy came out, halting all affirmative asylum application decisions. So what does it mean? It means that the all asylum decisions by USCIS officers have been indefinitely paused for all populations. It started out as 19 countries, and then it moved from there. And then they claim that, you know, over 1 million people that are waiting in line to have their claims adjudicated and reviewed will now have to wait for a period of time, very likely indefinitely. And this does not appear to apply to defensive asylum applications that are made in the immigration court, but it does apply to over 1 million people, as I've listed above. And then a number of other statements that have been made by the administration senior officials make us believe that the crackdown on all immigration to the United States that is both documented and less so has at this point in time been paused permanently. At this moment in time, we ask for your support, not just your financial support, but more importantly, your goodwill, your intent, and your voice. We need you to speak up in defense of the welcome that this country has practiced for such a long time that is being endangered and challenged at this moment in our history. So thank you for everything that you do, and I'll turn it back to Catherine.
Thanks, Errol. You know, I'm thinking of how broad participation in these kinds of calls tend to be, and you know, it's hard to know who you are as you're listening to us. And I'm just mindful that among us may be those of you with a lot of exposure to and understanding of experience with U.S. immigration policy, and those of you who don't have that experience, and that's fine. And that, you know, these updates can be really hard to absorb from both of those perspectives. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of unclear information so far. So I'd encourage you, no matter where you fall on sort of your experience with these topics and these policies, to check out the resource I mentioned at the beginning of the State of Play. Follow CWS on social media. Keep an eye on our website. We'll be continuing to share information in various forms, both more kind of policy wonky and more layperson. And I think what we want to emphasize today is just how dramatic these policy changes really are. We have seen significant policy changes over the last year related to immigration that have harmed harmed immigrant communities across the country. And yet these set of policy actions, promises in some cases, despite their significant ambiguity, do really represent what we feel is a deepening crisis impacting communities across our country. And immigration is a challenging topic. There's not one clear, perfect answer to a country's immigration system or immigration policies. This is not a partisan issue. It doesn't need to be. And we really want to be clear that there are a lot of ways that we as a country can have good faith debates and conversations and deliberations about how to structure immigration policy. These actions do not reflect that commitment. And for CWS, we're deeply concerned, not only because of the impacts on, not only because of the specific policy changes that we're discussing today, but the broader anti-immigrant dehumanizing rhetoric that we're seeing across many parts of society at this point, that itself is also contributing to this environment of real fear and confusion among our immigrant and newcomer neighbors. To be clear, CWS, we've said we have talked so far about how we serve immigrant communities, but it's important to say, and that you know as well, that we see ourselves as in relationship with and are deeply in relationship with immigrants and newcomers. Those are reciprocal relationships, mutual relationships. We, as is true across our society, our staff is comprised of many immigrants, recent arrivals, those who have been here for many years, or those whose parents and grandparents or ancestors immigrated to this country. As Americans, we know, as the Declaration of Independence and many of our other sort of sacred American texts that describe, this belief that all people are created equal and have unalienable rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That's what we want for ourselves, for our friends, for our families, for our communities. And we know from our work in communities across this country that mutual thriving is possible, and really that we all thrive and are all able to live into that vision of our equal rights to those things when all of us have what we need to thrive. At CWS, those commitments are also rooted in our faith-based identity. And we take seriously God's call, as we understand it, clearly articulated throughout Scripture, to care for the stranger, to welcome the immigrant, to extend this kind of hospitality, which is not just charity, but really is loving people even as we love ourselves, and is justice-oriented and rooted. So as Americans and as people of faith, we feel called as CWS to act, and we're inviting you, and we'll continue to invite you to that kind of action. So let me give some quick ideas for today, although a lot is unknown still of how you can act. So first, speak truth. It's easy to say, it's hard to do. What is being said about immigrants right now from the highest levels of our government are not true. There are things that are not only harmful and divisive, but in many cases are false. That's difficult to name, difficult to acknowledge, difficult to counter. We'd encourage you to go to the sources of good information. We've tried to share that as CWS. There are others, immigrant service providers, able to explain, and that you can then have the information that you need to speak truth within your neighborhoods, in your communities of faith, with your friends, with your families, to be able to say accurate information about newcomers in this country. Be clear about that. And when you're not sure what's true, because things are complicated, seek that information out from us and others. Second, speak out as a voice for justice. We've put that speak out link, I think, in the comment a little bit earlier, but do speak out. Call your 2 senators and your 1 representative, talk to your neighbors, share with your faith community. Our action alerts are a great place to start there. We've got a current action alert out specifically related to the events of the last several days. Be clear, as we have been and will continue to be, about your opposition to violence of any kind and our commitment to peaceful resistance and peaceful prophetic action on behalf of people who are marginalized and need support. and donate. It is Giving Tuesday. We're about, as an organization, halfway to our Giving Day goal for the day. And so we'd encourage you to give, certainly to CWS, to promote the work, to enable the work that we're talking about doing, both the advocacy and the organizing around these issues, but also the direct service for people who need support, and a wide-ranging types of support, from food assistance to employment assistance, help finding jobs, to legal support, to any other types and many others that we provide across the country. We'll put a link to our Giving Tuesday page in the chat as well, and there will be more to come, as we've said, as we continue to learn and continue to advocate, speak up, and work for justice in the world. We really want to thank you, as we have a few times, but it's sincere. Your support means a lot, the world, to CWS, to our staff, to our clients, to the communities that we seek to serve and walk alongside. We need you in this work, and you are part of it. So thank you for your attention today and for your continued partnership with CWS in this work. We will be sure to go live again soon as we know more. If you have questions or desire for different or additional kinds of information, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we will provide it. So with that, we'll put that link to the question there, how to contact us, that info@cwsglobal.org, and we will look forward to continuing the conversation again soon. All right, I think we have a couple minutes for questions. We haven't seen any yet in the chat. We'll hang out for a minute or two, and if not, we'll wrap up the live stream. But thanks so much again for joining us, everyone. It's great to see people all over the US and even some around the world. Thanks for joining us and for your partnership in this work.
Our vision is simple: a world where everyone has food, voice, and a safe place to call home. For over 75 years, we've worked to amplify voices, advocating for change, supporting individuals, and empowering communities to be heard. Because together, we can create a world where no one is silenced and everyone belongs.